Sup, bitches?
You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another response video, and today we're responding to some comments again. Been a minute since I've done that, but I thought it'd be fun. So these comments are in response to my video on why online debates are often pointless, which it's ironic because these comments seem to be trying to debate me, which is really fucking funny to me. But let me be clear, obviously, just because I say online debates are often pointless doesn't mean I think literally every debate is pointless. I said that multiple times in the video, just getting that out there, obviously there are some debates that have had substance, but my problem is that they largely don't. I'm not going to go off on a whole tangent about that, because I literally did a whole video on it, which is where these comments come from. But this guy in these comments has made it clear that he thinks that words are important, but then he also says a bunch of the same kind of stuff one of my college professors used to say about knowing, so we'll take a look into them. But if he's trying to say that words have important meaning and shit like that, no shit. We'll get to that a little bit, because he obviously didn't like that I said that semantic arguments are a bad idea, which they are. They don't get to the root of the argument. But again, let's just take a look at the comments and see what this guy has to say, and then I will continue. Okay, so, the first comment, he says, "If debate isn't to come to the truth, it's pointless." I agree. "Also, the meaning behind words have to be agreed on while the debate progresses to fully understand and point out contradictions." No shit. I literally said that. I said we need to define our terms. That's what I was fucking saying. We need to explain what each other means instead of making a fucking argument over, well, that's not what it really means, so that's not what you mean. That's the point I was making. Literally, the argument was, yes, we need to understand what each other is saying. So defining our terms is important. So this guy's agreeing with me, I guess. I don't fucking know. "If contradictions aren't always ironed out, that chaos builds and all parties will have ended up wasting time." I agree. In fact, in my comment that I said in response to him, which we'll go over in a minute, I actually said, yeah, I was actually originally planning to include something like that in the video after the fact, but I decided to upload it without having to make yet another file, because I thought of making that point in post. So I guess I'm making it here too, as well as in the other comment. "How do you debate if everything is fucked, if no parameters are drawn to define fucked?" I'm basically saying that we're in a fucking bad situation, and things probably won't get better anytime soon before they get a hell of a lot worse. Is that defined enough for you, bud? Really, that was only a tangential thing that I was talking about with the debate with Hardluck, because Hardluck said that me saying that everything was fucked was naive. Which, things are definitely in a bad situation, so to pretend that they're not, I think, is naive. And, I think that there are a lot of irreconcilable differences because people live in different realities, because they're just as completely different dogma.
Throw dogma a bone.
That people have. And it doesn't matter which one is right, because both sides absolutely insist that they are, so I don't really think that these are things that'll be easily reconciled. "Everyone just assumes a picture in their own head of a word is enough. A cow is a cow, right? So happy is happy." Absolutely not. The fuck else could you mean by happy? What? What the fuck else could I mean by cow? I guess I could be referring to other species that use the term cow. It doesn't necessarily have to be bovine. If you want to be a pretentious prick, sure, yeah. But happy is happy. Of course it is. What the fuck else could it mean? Do you think happy can mean sad? Because if so, that's fucking retarded. It's funny he's arguing with this with me when I was the one saying focusing on the semantics and the dictionary definitions and obsessing over that was the problem. Because, again, my point was, we need to just define our terms to each other and iron out any misunderstandings and contradictions. And hell, I'm not even against correction if it is done in a good faith manner. But when it's just done to twist what you're saying, to meet your own agenda, that's the problem. "You yourself contribute to this pointlessness, and I'd like to challenge your vehemently pro-life comment." I don't think you are. I don't think you have enough understanding about life to be just like the rest of the choice life arguers.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
First off, the term pro-choice is actually something that I reject. I don't believe that the term pro-choice actually is about choice. I think it's about murder. It's the choice to murder. Like, it is anti-life. And I often use the term pro-abortion. And often when I use the term pro-choice, I have sort of a sarcastic tone when I say it because I don't value it as a term. That said, I'm not going to jump down someone's throat with a semantic argument and be like, well, you're not actually pro... Like, I mean, unless I'm literally arguing the substance of it, I'm not going to care if they use that term. But, like, if someone asks me directly what I think of the term pro-choice, I'm going to reject the term pro-choice because pro-choice is just pro-abortion. It's not literally pro-choice. It's pro-killing. So, I don't know what the fuck else he thinks I could mean. I value the life of humans at a base level. What the fuck else is there to understand? Life and choice go far beyond abortion! I mean, the terms themselves do, sure. For instance, and you know what? I'm against the death penalty. I'm that pro-life. I'm against the death penalty. If someone is in captivity, I don't think they should be able to be put down by the state. Now, if it's a self-defense scenario, that's where we end up in a different situation, where I think if it's your life versus theirs, their life is forfeit. That is a concept I believe in, too. But their life still had a base-level value, they just forfeit it when they put you in a self-defense situation. Obviously, I value human life outside the abortion debate. It's retarded to think I don't. It's such a disingenuous thing that pro-abortion people do, where they say, well, you don't really care about life except for when they're in the womb. Yes, I fucking do! Fuck you, you piece of shit. Pro-life or pro-choice talk is political, and political anything is always evil and stupid. Traditional debate has always been political.
Ha! What the fuck?
What? Politics isn't inherently good or evil. It's a thing, it's a fact of life. Politics is being concerned about the world around you. It's fucking stupid if you're just gonna be like, my political opinion is fuck politics. Then you don't have an opinion. You know, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Okay, I missed part of the comment, apparently. Regardless of what legal autonomy a baby might have because someone signed a paper, it's still inside a woman. Yeah, and it's still an individual with rights. It's still a person. Just because it's inside someone doesn't magically make it not a person. That's a retarded ideal. If you think just because someone is inside another person, that suddenly makes them not a person. First off, there's very little difference developmentally between a baby who's 9 months old and a baby who's 9 months in the womb. They're very similar. They have brain function. They are already basically fully developed. Viability has gotten to be earlier and earlier. And so you trying to tell me that just because someone is inside someone else, that somehow makes them not a person? Fuck you. I don't care. If that's your logic, you're wrong. Because they are absolutely a person. And if you think the argument shouldn't be whether or not they're a person, well then we have nothing to argue about because we live in different realities. So yeah, that's the part I missed. Now we're going back on after that. Because again, he's trying to make, first off, he's saying that it doesn't matter the legal argument. No, I'm not saying it does. I'm making an ethical argument, not a legal argument. I'm saying a person has rights, not by law, but by their very nature of existing. I don't believe rights are given to you by a government. Rights are something you are born inherent with, and any time that it is encroached upon, that is done by man. What you're really debating is if government can exert its power to control how we control our bodies and what's available to those ends, because that's what it boils down to. Okay, so you're making the argument about whether or not the state should be involved. Well, I don't like the concept of the state, but since we have a state, you know, I'd like for murder to be at least one of the things that if there has to be laws, there's laws against. And I'm not even making the argument that the government is the entity that has to do it. I'm just saying that it is wrong to kill. Yes, I know. Hot take. It's wrong to kill.
Yes, I know. Shocking.
I understand that the babies themselves are dependent. It's like they're hooked on the woman as life support. But just because of that doesn't mean that I think that they should be able to be killed, violently scrambled about, and then sucked out with a vacuum. Fuck that. I don't think that that has any reason to exist in polite conversation. If that's a serious talk you want to have, then at that point you have no line you draw until the baby is literally disconnected. So by that logic, if a toddler was still left connected, then they wouldn't be a person, or they wouldn't have rights. Because let's be clear, you're obviously not making a personhood debate. You're making the rights of the individual woman's debate. But I am saying that the rights of the woman do not outweigh the rights of the child. Both have rights because both are human. Pro-life or pro-choice puts life and choice at odds, and that is an irresponsible jump-off point. You want good debate, look for truth. They are at odds because the people who identify as pro-choice, which again, I don't fully accept that term, but it is a term that they identify themselves with, they put it at odds because they are violating someone else's right by killing them. The doctor goes in, violently kills it, and then takes it out. There's no arguing as to whether or not that is what is being done. So to pretend that there's any sort of other philosophical mumbo-jumbo you can put on that doesn't matter to me. It doesn't fucking factor in. Because I don't care. Like, There can be contextual things where it's like, yeah, it's sad, right? Like, if you bring in, like, rape and stuff like that. Like, these situations are terrible situations. But that doesn't mean that that gives someone the right to go and kill someone else. It's ridiculous to act like, oh, well, this is actually more complicated. It's really not. You're killing it or you're not. There you go. I've solved the complication. I haven't seen proof anyone knows where to look for it. You're debating in the context of the cult of death you don't see controlling you. I think society does live in a cult of death. Everything is focused on death. I absolutely agree with you that that's a thing, but if you think that I'm living in it, you're stupid, because that's clearly not true. Just because I think that life is important doesn't mean that I'm magically in the cult of death. The cult of death, I do agree, exists. Because, look at euthanasia.
Oh boy, they got enough kids or whatever as it is.
Like, the Canadian government putting people down for fucking the smallest thing. It's ridiculous. Like, medical assistance in death is absolutely immoral, too. Not to mention there's capital punishment. And, you know, as people, a lot of the times, we dehumanize people and we other people. Like, that's a thing that we do in general, just as a species. So I absolutely agree with you that this cult of death exists. But you're making the assertion that I'm in it and that I don't care about life? That's just stupid to me. You have no idea what the fuck I think, first off. Other than that I'm vehemently pro-life. And it sounds to me like you're not, because you're going on the, well, they're still inside a woman. Yeah, I know. I get that. I get that it comes to the woman's rights versus the child's rights. But guess what? I think the right to not be killed, because if you kill someone, that's the ultimate encroachment on life. I think that that is much more important than the right to kill. Because there can't be a right to kill. That's a positive right, which don't exist. And just for complete and total clarification, in case there's any question is what I mean by positive right. What I mean by that is, the right to not be killed isn't actually the right to not be killed. It's, you do not have the right to kill. That's a negative right, right? Just like you do not have the right to encroach on someone's speech, right? The government does not have the right to encroach on someone's speech. So, not having the right to kill is a negative right. As in, your right is not violated because your right to not be killed because they don't have the right to kill you. Whereas the right to kill would be a positive right, and positive rights are nonsensical when you actually get down to it. It would be beneficial for you to join my cult of not being in a cult ever again for Trevor Moore to free yourself if you're really pro-life. What the fuck? So you want me to go into your ideology and then I'm pro-life? I have to join your line of thinking, which sounds to me like it's some radical centrist shit, which no thank you. As I said, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Very good Rush lyrics. Very good. And they hold true. And Corbin responded with TLDR. I responded with, I do agree it's important to iron out inconsistency. I try to do that all the time. I actually thought about adding that in post-editing, but decided just to upload what I had. As for the woman and baby being connected, while that is true, it will never, to me, justify killing it. The issue isn't even simple extraction and letting it to its own devices. It's always, by definition, involves violent, forceful killing before the removal. If, for instance, the mother's life were genuinely threatened, removal is something that I could understand. But violently scrambling it first, not to mention more babies are viable at earlier and earlier stages in life. As far as words, while I do acknowledge that there are many who manipulate words and change the definitions maliciously, there is no point in arguing semantics and obsessing over it like it's the only point. Once we've discovered what the other means and even potentially offered correction, move on. The issue I have is when it devolves into semantic arguments and the original point is lost. See, that's the thing. I agree, words are important. I think that words definitely are important because the manipulation of words is part of how arguments get ran in ways that actually make things twisted and try to take someone out of context, or to try and shift the goalpost, or to try to guide the conversation into making people say things that don't make sense. Like, for instance, the word racism has been redefined plenty of times. Racism now, people try to claim, means prejudice plus power. Fuck that. Racism just means discrimination based on race. We get to the argument of gender as to whether or not it's a separate concept from sex. I reject that notion. Sex and gender are the same thing. So obviously I do think words are important, and I think that the twisting and manipulation of words is a bad thing. Another example, I hate that people conflate the term conspiracy with conspiracy theory. Conspiracy itself is a crime that people can be charged for, conspiring against people. But now people use that interchangeably with conspiracy theory, and I think that causes problems. But that said, even though I think words are important, and all of that is important, when it really boils down to it, you define your term, say, well, I mean this. Oh, okay, well, now I understand what you're saying, and here's why I disagree. Boom. That's how you move on in an argument. You don't just say, well, actually, this is what that means, and it's also what you mean. Like, literally, that did happen a lot in the argument with Hardluck. Hardluck would fucking double down and act like Corbin meant something he didn't just because of the definition he was using. It had nothing to do with the actual substance of the argument, which I think is absolutely bad faith. If you're just going to twist and turn the goalpost and just fucking twist and turn the words to make it match whatever the fuck you want and then say, no, actually, I'm right here, look, here's the dictionary, you're wrong, and this is also what you mean, which again is crazy to me that that would be the jumping off point, is saying, this is what you mean. That's fucking crazy. So semantic arguments will often lead nowhere. It's literally just saying, well, this means this. Well, actually, technically, if you say this, it actually kind of means this, and this is why, blah, blah. Fuck off. Just get to the point of the substance. The substance is far more important than the semantics. On to his next comment. Semantics is an irresponsible way to approach the importance of communication. And to be clear, semantics was in quotes. You have no idea what the other person means because they're not sure what they mean. What do you mean they're not sure what they mean? Of course they are. If someone is actually making an argument, like granted, there's sure, I will grant you, for sake of argument, that there are absolutely people who don't know what they mean when they say it. Plenty of people will say things they don't understand. That is true. But if someone is making an actual point on a principle, and they truly believe that principle, it is absolutely logical to think that they understand at least the principle they are saying, even if there are logical fallacies and elements in it that might have led them to that conclusion. They absolutely know what the fuck they're trying to say, and to assume otherwise is to be presumptuous and bad faith. If I make an argument, I know what I'm saying, and if you don't understand it, ask for fucking clarification. It's as simple as that. And if I make an argument and then the logic doesn't follow, point out the logic not following. Don't say, well, actually these words mean this. You can tell me the definitions of words too, like that is true, that is fair. Like I said, I'm not above correction. But when that becomes the entire argument, you just end up arguing semantics and there's no fucking substance. You're not sure what you mean. Yes, I am. Are you not sure what you mean and you're projecting? Is that what's happening? Because I know what I mean when I fucking say it. You're all too far removed from the source of knowing and the importance of the source of knowing, and it's provable. The fuck is this shit? This is some crazy fucking, like, religious cult, like Scientology or some shit talk, which is why I will make a snide remark later on in the comments as we're going, as you'll see. But what the fuck is this knowing thing? Are you gonna give me that same argument that you can never truly know something, just like my fucking college professor did and tried to tell me that objective truth didn't fucking exist? Is that what you're gonna tell me? Because if that's what you're gonna tell me, we're done here. If there's no objective truth, then fuck you, my truth, right? That's the logic. I don't know if that's what you're going for, because there seems to be contradictions in that, because you tell me the importance of words. But then you tell me the source of knowing, and the importance of knowing. Again, this knowing thing is something I heard my college professor argue to me when she was trying to tell me that there was no such thing as objective truth, which is fucking retarded. There's a force of narrative that's causing you and everyone else to dismiss the heart, the core, the truth, the point of everything. For example, when you run off to how a baby is mutilated like you're pitching me an idea when the subject I mentioned was far removed from that, it wasn't. You said it was still inside a woman, and I was arguing why that was still didn't fucking matter and it was still immoral to kill it. It wasn't far removed from it. Now who's the one who doesn't understand what they're saying? I'm criticizing the use of pro-choice, pro-life, and the lack of the awareness of the impact on words, and how little thought is put into the factors that affect the concept passed at a ridiculously basic level. Do you get to control what my point is because you didn't speak it?
What the fuck?
What? No, I don't get to control what your point is. Obviously, but the words that you typed, and again, those words had meaning, so to throw it back at you, who's the one not giving the importance of words? You're the one who brought up the fact that it was still inside a woman. You're the one who did that. So my counter-argument to that is my point going back on the point that you presented as far as I could fucking understand it, giving the fucking words that you type. There's an opportunity to elevate your understanding past the dribble that you're constantly swimming in with everyone else. Yes, you're the one to enlightenment. You're the one. You are the one true prophet. All praise you, my friend Mr. L. Ron Hubbard, am I right? One who doesn't try to lift themselves higher than the rest to gain the broader perspective, have their hand in holding everyone back from what's best, and that's not very pro-life. What? Of course I try to elevate myself. I'm constantly trying to gain my knowledge, and I do, in many ways, try to have the moral high ground. Like, I'm not saying I have the moral high ground, but I definitely try to. I try to actually do what is right, and I don't follow just like the norm. Like, do you think that I just have normal beliefs? Because if you think I have normal beliefs, you must be new here.
You're new here, aren't you?
Because a lot of my beliefs are pretty fucking fringe. So if you just think that I'm just following the crowd, then you are sorely mistaken, sir. So, of course, my response, giving it the respect and seriousness that this conversation entails, I said, "You take forever to say nothing."
You take forever to say nothing.
And he said, "Presumptuous coming from someone who repeats what everyone else says. You don't give words the value they deserve. You just look to win an argument. You're a problem." I'm not looking to win an argument. You're literally saying that on a video, that the whole point was that these online arguments are fucking pointless. Like, you're saying I'm just looking to win an argument, when on a video that I'm saying that these arguments are stupid, and in the fucking video, I literally said that just trying to win an argument by any means was unethical and bad faith. Like, what? I literally said that if you are just using rhetoric to win and score points, then that's bad. And then you're trying to accuse me of the same thing? What the fuck are you on about? That's literally what I was criticizing.
Gotta learn to listen, Lou.
And so, of course, then I replied with, want to check my thetan levels there or something, Elron? It's ironic to try and debate me on a video about debates being pointless. Ironic. And then he said, "If this is a debate, you got the talking points of someone with Down burgers." So you're combining Down syndrome and Asperger's. Okay, clever. It's Asperger's, so it's actually not a B, but, you know. Who am I to care about the importance of words? If you want to smell the shit on your fingers, fine. But you're not gonna get any prettier. What's ironic is playing the villain in your own point. There's no point in debating, so I'll just represent the grossest parts of it all the time. What are you talking about? I was literally saying debates are pointless because they're bad faith. That's the fucking point I was making. If it's a genuine conversation, I'll have it, which is why I bothered engaging you in the first place. Because I don't think that you're bad faith, I just think you're a fucking lunatic. Anyway, I replied with just treating the conversation with the seriousness it entails. Now, this guy put my video in a playlist of people to talk shit on, so maybe that means he's gonna do a video response to it. If so, I eagerly await to see his video. This guy's fucking weird. He also replied to Hardluck's comment, because Hardluck said, "The point of kicking somebody's ass intellectually is to help me flesh out my own concepts. Also, I planted plenty of seeds of truth that have grown into trees of wisdom within people. Time will tell." That's fine. You know, I expected Hardluck to make an argument of that sort, which is fine. And he said, "There's no wisdom in trying to kick someone's ass or intellectualism. Truth doesn't find root in either of those." This guy knows the one truth. This is our great leader. We must follow him. We must drink the fucking Kool-Aid. Like, Jesus Christ, this guy is advocating a cult of not being in a cult, you know, radical centrism. A fucking nonsense concept. Again, as I have said multiple times throughout this video, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye.